is Newsbits on Fusion TV. Here are the headlines. Police in Kenya arrest regional governor in connection with violence. Another bomb blast in Nigeria causes president to cut short his trip. North Korea threatens war on U.S. over Kim Jong-un movie. First U.S. troops deployed to assist the army arrives in Iraq. Luis Suarez banned for 4 months by FIFA. Solly Montari and Kevin Prince Boateng expelled from Ghana's World Cup squad. These stories and more when we return. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Hello and thanks for joining me on this edition of Newsbits on Fusion TV. I'm Nikki Roberts. Police in Kenya have arrested a regional governor in connection with a series of gun attacks in the coastal town of Meketoni. Earlier this month, killed at least 60 people. Isa Timami, governor of Lamu County, where the town is located, is due to appear in court Thursday. Last week, we reported that President Uhuru Kenyatta had blamed local political networks for the violence, which the Somali Islamist group Al-Shabaab had initially claimed responsibility for. President Kenyatta dismissed Al-Shabaab's claims because only members of the Kikuyu ethnic group were targeted in the attacks. Mr. Timami belongs to the United Democratic Front, UDF, an affiliate of Mr. Kenyatta's governing Jubilee coalition. Opposition parties have ridiculed Mr. Kenyatta's claim, and opposition leader Raila Odinga has called for dialogue with the government to address the issues with security. The authorities also announced on Wednesday that they had arrested 13 alleged separatists accused of planning more attacks on the coast. In a statement, the Interior Ministry said those arrested were suspected of plotting ethnic cleansing attacks and were members of the Mombasa Republican Council, MRC, a coastal separatist group. Last week's attacks in Meketoni started on the evening of 15th of June as locals were watching a World Cup match on television. Gunmen went on to carry out further assaults in villages nearby the next day. The Kenyan government has since issued advice urging people to watch World Cup matches at home rather than gathering in bars or other public places. Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan has cut short a trip to Equatorial Guinea following Wednesday's bomb attack in the capital, Abuja. The blast went off near the popular Banex Plaza shopping complex in Wuse district. 21 people were killed and 52 others wounded. Presidential spokesman Ruben Abati said Mr. Jonathan received news of the blast as he was arriving at his hotel in Equatorial Guinea's capital, Malabo, for an African Union summit, and he decided to fly back to Abuja to deal with the crisis. Mr. Jonathan's decision to return appears to be an attempt to address a growing public perception that he is not concerned about the plight of victims. Police say a suspect has been arrested and they have ordered an increase in security and surveillance operations in and around Abuja to prevent further attacks. Militant Islamist group Boko Haram has stepped up attacks in Nigeria. In April, it killed more than 70 people in a bomb blast at a bus stop in the outskirts of Abuja. It has become a source of growing international concern since the abduction 2 months ago of more than 200 girls from a school in northern Nigeria. The World Health Organization, WHO, has said that drastic action is needed to contain the spread of deadly Ebola in West Africa. Nearly 400 people have died in the outbreak, which started in Guinea and has spread to neighboring Sierra Leone and Liberia. It is the largest outbreak in terms of cases, deaths, and geographical spread. The WHO said it was gravely concerned and that there was potential for further international spread. The outbreak started 4 months ago and is continuing to spread. So far, there have been more than 600 cases, and around 60% of those infected with the virus have died. Ebola has no cure, and it's spread by contact with the fluids of infected people or animals such as urine, sweat, and blood. The World Health Organization has sent 150 experts to the region to help prevent the spread of the virus, but admits there has been significant increase in the number of daily reported cases and deaths. The WHO's Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Louise Sambo, confirmed that this is no longer a country-specific outbreak, but a sub-regional crisis that requires firm action. The charity Médecins Sans Frontières has already warned that the Ebola outbreak is out of control, and it says the epidemic will spread further unless there is a stronger international response. The symptoms to look out for with the Ebola virus disease are high fever, bleeding, and central nervous system damage. Fruit bats are considered to be the natural host of the virus. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled police cannot search the digital contents of mobile phones of those arrested without a warrant. The unanimous decision is a win for privacy advocates that argued that searching mobiles was an unreasonable intrusion. Chief Justice John Roberts, in his opinion, said that mobiles hold for many Americans the privacies of life. The High Court had weighed appeals by two people convicted based on evidence found on their phones. Both were convicted of crimes not initially arrested for. Supreme Court maintained under the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, police and other government officials need to obtain a warrant from a judge before they can conduct a search. A warrant requires evidence that a crime has been committed by the suspect. The Supreme Court had previously ruled that during an arrest, police do not need a warrant to empty a suspect's pockets and examine whatever they find in order to ensure officers' safety and prevent the destruction of evidence. But Wednesday's decision rules the contents of mobiles do not fall under that rationale. Cannabis use in the United States has increased, and so have emergency room visits associated with the use. According to a report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes World Drugs, between 2006 and 2010, there was a 56% increase in U.S. cannabis-related emergency room visits and a 14% increase in admission to treatment centers for drug abuse over the same period. The potency of the drug in the U.S. appeared to have increased, making it more harmful. The report further said it was too early to tell if the legalization of cannabis in 2 U.S. states had had an impact on drug use. The report stated that in the U.S., the lower perceived risk of cannabis use has definitely led to an increase in its use. A North Korean foreign ministry spokesperson said in state media that if the proposed release of a Hollywood movie about assassinating Kim Jong-un is released, it would be an act of war and has promised merciless retaliation on the U.S. A Hollywood movie called The Interview is due in October. Hollywood actors James Franco and Seth Rogen star in the action comedy film. Franco and Rogen play a talk show host and his producer who are invited to interview Kim Jong-un and are subsequently recruited by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, to assassinate the leader. The film's teaser trailer posted on YouTube shows a look-alike actor playing Kim Jong-un as well as fight scenes involving what appear to be North Korean tanks and helicopters and a nuclear missile launch. The spokesman is quoted as saying, "If the U.S. administration allows and defends the showing of the film, a merciless countermeasure will be taken." Seth Rogen recently said he was inspired by journalists' trips to North Korea and added that the film was originally about meeting Kim Jong-il, but the script had to be revised when he died in 2011, and his son, Kim Jong-un, took over. Rogen, who is one of the directors of The Interview, has since responded on Twitter saying, "People don't usually want to kill me for one of my movies until after they've paid $12 for seeing it." The first U.S. troops deployed to assist the Iraqi army in combating a Sunni militant insurgency have arrived and begun work. The Pentagon said nearly half the 300 special ops soldiers promised by U.S. President Barack Obama are in Baghdad. On Tuesday, 2 teams of about 40 U.S. troops began work assessing Iraqi troops on the front line. An additional 90 will work in Baghdad to set up a new Joint Operations Command Center. These will be joined by an additional 4 teams of 50 troops each in the next few days. The Iraqi government had requested American airstrikes, but the Obama administration stressed that the troops are not intended as operational forces, but instead are there to advise the Iraqis and provide intelligence. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry called for regional unity to expel the Sunni ISIS rebels who have taken large areas in Iraq. The insurgents, spearheaded by Islamists fighting under the banner of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIS, have swarmed much of north and west Iraq, including the second biggest city, Mosul. The violence has claimed over 1,000 lives in Iraq in June alone, most of them civilians. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, a member of Iraq's Shia Muslim majority, has been criticized for concentrating power among his mostly Shia allies and excluding other groups, including Sunni and Kurdish communities. The refinery at Baiji has been a key objective for the Sunni rebels, and declining fuel supplies have caused the long queues at gas stations. The Kurdish region's president, Masoud Barzani, recently suggested that it would seek formal independence from the rest of Iraq, as Iraq is obviously falling apart. Now to Fusion Sports News. Uruguay striker Luis Suarez has been suspended from all football-related activity for 4 months by FIFA for biting Italy defender Giorgio Chiellini. The Liverpool player, 27, has also been banned for 9 international matches, ruling him out of the rest of the FIFA World Cup 2014. He will also miss the first 9 games of the Premier League season. The incident happened Tuesday at the World Cup Group D game between Italy and Uruguay. Uruguay won to qualify for the last 16. Uruguay have 3 days to appeal against the decision. Suarez has also been fined 100,000 Swiss francs. The ban is the biggest in the World Cup history, beating the 8-game ban given to Italy's Mauro Tassotti for elbowing Spain's Luis Enrique in 1994. Claudio Solsa, chairman of the FIFA Disciplinary Committee, said in a statement, such behavior cannot be tolerated on any football pitch, and in particular not at a FIFA World Cup game, when the eyes of millions of people are on the stars on the field. Suarez was banned for 10 games for biting Chelsea's Branislav Ivanovic during a Premier League match in 2013, and was also suspended for 7 games for biting PSV Eindhoven's Otman Bakar in 2010. Liverpool's chief executive Ian Ayer, in a statement shortly after news of Suarez's ban, said Liverpool Football Club will wait until they have seen and had time to review the FIFA Disciplinary Committee report before making any further comment. Under the terms of the ban, Suarez is prohibited from entering the confines of any stadium during the period of his suspension. Solly Montari and Kevin Prince Boateng have both been expelled from Ghana's World Cup squad for alleged indiscipline. A statement on the Ghana Football Association website said they had been suspended indefinitely. Boateng reportedly used vulgar verbal insults targeted at coach Kwesi Appiah, and Montari was found guilty of an unprovoked physical attack on an executive committee member. The news came hours before Ghana took on Portugal on Thursday. Kevin Prince Boateng and Solly Montari played in Ghana's previous 2 games at the World Cup. The Ghana FA statement said the incident involving AC Milan's Montari took place on Tuesday and named Moses Armah, a member of the team management, as the man said to have been assaulted by the 29-year-old. And Schalke player Boateng, 27, was said by the Ghana FA to have shown no remorse for his actions. This took place during the team's training session on Tuesday. Ghana's World Cup campaign was mostly devastated by a dispute over players' appearance fees. On Wednesday, the national government sent in excess of $3 million in a chartered plane to Brazil to pay the squad following their threat to boycott their final group match against Portugal if they did not receive their money. The Black Stars of Ghana have since been eliminated in the group stage of the ongoing World Cup in Brazil. And last on the news today, a 12-year-old boy missing for 11 days has been found by police in his own basement, and his father was told of the discovery live on television. Charlie Botwell was feared dead after disappearing in Detroit on June 14th. And on Wednesday, officers found the boy behind a barricade of boxes in his family's basement. His father, Charles Butol IV, was appealing to HLN viewers for help when presenter Nancy Grace said Charlie was found alive and well. The father appeared to be stunned and said, "What?" Police do not believe the boy could have set up the barricade himself, and he told the presenter his family. Detroit police and FBI had searched the basement several times. Detroit Police Chief James Craig confirmed to local media the police had searched the family's basement with a cadaver dog, adding investigators were not sure whether Charlie had been in the basement for the full 11 days, and said he couldn't be happier about the outcome. The boy was removed from the home and will be given medical attention, but he won't be put back into the home until all investigation is carried out. Well, that ended on a happy note. Thanks for staying with us on this edition of Newsbeats here on Fusion TV. We'll see you again next time. Until then, stay safe.